Abaco is getting ready for the 2025 Abaco Business Outlook under the theme Prioritizing Inclusive Sustainable Growth. Joining us this morning are Mr. Kerry Fountain. He is the Executive Director of the Bahamas Out Island Promotion Board. We also have Mr. Emmanuel Alexio. He is the President of the Board and owner of the Abaco Beach Resort. And they're going to share with us the outlook for business and tourism in Abaco. Good morning, gentlemen. Welcome to Bahamas at Sunrise.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, Mark.
How are you?
Good morning. Good morning. Pleasure to have you here. Kerry, man.
Mark, you look so sprightly so early.
Hey, that's how we do it. We update early every day. Actually, I just came from Abaco. I was in Abaco the past couple of days enjoying the natural environment, and so I'm all charged up and ready to push through the weekend. All right?
Good.
Best place to be. Let's jump right in. Mr. Fountain, how would you assess Abaco's recovery in the post-Dorian, post-COVID environment, and how far has the tourism sector come in regaining stability?
Mark, I think Abaco, quite frankly, and not a lot of people know, but Abaco is being one of our shining stars. And at the promotion board, we're not in the business of counting heads. We count room nights sold and room revenue. And if we compare Abaco in 2025, and I'm talking about year-to-date numbers, January through July, if we compare those numbers in terms of room nights sold and room revenue to what we were doing in 2019, I just made some notes. And we're talking about the same hotels. So I'm not talking about if we had more hotels in 2019 or less hotels in 2019. We're talking about comparing apples to apples, right. Same hotels to same hotels. The room nights sold so far, January through July of this year, totals about 15,237. You compare that to the same period in 2019, it was 14,600. Wow. So we've seen like a 4.4% jump. Now, here is where it really gets interesting. The room revenue, and I wouldn't share the numbers, but the room revenue in 2019, today, January through July, compared to January through July in 2019, our room revenues are up 70%.
Wow.
So the hotels are, they're seeing slight growth in terms of occupancy and slight growth in terms of room nights sold, but exponential growth in terms of room revenue. And that's what we're in the business for, to make money.
Well, that's very encouraging news. You've heard that Abaco has a lot going on. There was a lot of rebuilding after Dorian, after COVID, and so it's good to hear that those numbers are trending positively. Mr. Alexio, from your perspective as an Out Island resort operator, what are some of the biggest challenges currently impacting Family Island tourism and limiting profitability for resorts?
Well, thank you for that, and thank you for allowing us to join your team. Leading from where Kerry says, the revenue's gone up tremendously, but so have the costs. So it's not all rosy. It is rosy, but it's not as rosy as it may sound. The biggest part, of course, is you have high costs of utilities. Supply is inconsistent. When people are paying such high fees, which the room revenues have gone up tremendously, they're expecting to have their air conditioner working when they on holiday, and to have their internet, and to have their the utilities. So we need the utilities. Cost of operation in general, productivity of the staff, not the rate. The rate is fine, but the productivity of the staff, the level of service of the staff, your insurance. Repairs and repairs cost a lot more. We have a short season. We only have about 40%, 45% occupancy. So the big part of it is cost, the cost of getting there, right. Airlift. So the biggest challenge is really cost.
Right.
Okay. And then competition with Airbnbs and the cruise ships, and then the whole boating world it's a whole story. I hope we get a chance to talk into that as well.
Yes, it seems that there are a number of challenges facing resort owners like yourself. Mr. Fountain, are there any specific initiatives by the Out Island Promotions Board to help relieve some of the challenges and difficulties that resort owners are facing in Abaco?
Yeah, I think the major initiatives, when we start talking about profitability, yeah, we do, we help with all of the advertising and the PR and the sales, make sure we're attending the right trade shows, consumer shows, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But you know, we have to address our product issues. And Manny said it a couple of minutes ago. Number one is, how do we take advantage of our proximity? We're 52 miles away, but the cost of getting to the Bahamas doesn't equate to our proximity. Proximity doesn't equate to affordability.
Right.
And so we have to address that. We cannot continue to kick that can down the road. That's number one. Number two, Manny mentioned it again. You know, we're not in the business of just helping our hotels to make money, but helping them to to cut costs, and also helping them to, you know, Sandy Sands says it correctly, to get rid of some of the red tape and roll out more of the red carpet. And then last but not least, and I don't want to sort of hide this, you know, how do we get the companies, cruise lines, that are leaving the largest environmental footprint with their 9 million, almost 10 million passengers a year? How do we get them to contribute more to the revenues, to the coffers of the government? And then how do we use some of those funds that we collect from the cruise lines to address some of the product issues? And to help perhaps even look at reducing the cost of getting to the Bahamas or to Abaco, to the out islands, if you're flying. So those are some of the key product initiatives. And I think if we address those, then it makes everything else that we're doing, our promotions, our sales, it just makes all of those things easier.
Yes. Mr. Alexio, interested to hear your perspective on what strategies would be most effective for operators like yourself in allowing you to be more competitive, to have more profitability, and to be more resilient in these times.
Well, lowering costs is obviously a big thing. Creating off-season interest in the Bahamas. Like the Bahamas, 1.7 million stopovers hasn't changed for quite a while, quite a few years. And one of the reasons claimed is that we don't have sufficient
Beds.
hotel rooms. But when you count the 45% occupancy, developers have spent a lot of money, and we do have a lot of rooms. And so yes, we can certainly encourage more development, big hotels, but how do we fill all these collective rooms, which probably amount to equal to, if not more, than the big hotels? How do we get them filled more? So we need to create off-season interest. We don't have enough hotel rooms to have the big basketball games and other things that Atlantis or Bahamas can do. What can we do for the out islands to create those environments, get the hotels together there, create smaller events, et cetera, on an annual basis that'll fill up the gaps? That's one of them. Of course, leveling the playing field is a big thing. When I say that, I mean all these other operators, and there's so many different types of clients. I like a cruise ship. I will always go on a cruise ship. I'm not against cruise ships. I'm not against Airbnbs. I'm not against. We're all part of the tourism product. But how do we make sure that they contribute their fair share of costs, and not all the expansive burden of taxation and everything else falls only on the hotels?
Very true. Very, very true.
And on the hotels that are contributing the greatest amount of revenue.
And employment.
This conversation is going. If you want to catch more of this discussion, you need to come to Abaco Business Outlook.
Abaco.
We have Brother Fountain and Brother Alexio. They're going to be speaking and presenting. I want you to be there in person so you can walk up to them, continue the discussion, ask questions, and let's find solutions to make sure that our out islands and all of the resorts and operators are doing well as we push through the remainder of this year. Unfortunately, we have to go, gentlemen. We can talk all morning about this, but I appreciate your insight and your wisdom. Looking forward to being in Abaco. Abaco is where it's at. Thanks for being on the show.
Yep. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care.
See you guys on the
Bye-bye.
18th. You're watching Moms at Sunrise. We'll be right back.